Hello, everyone. I just recorded an incredible interview with an amazing woman named Michelle Ward. I'm super excited to share it with you, but Skype had a couple problems in the beginning, so I'm just re-recording the introduction. So, welcome to the Cancer Convo series. My name is Katie Campbell. I am 32 years old, and I am living with stage 4 breast cancer, and I have written a book called The Courage Club, and it's about my own experiences living with stage 4 cancer and trying to make a meaningful life in the midst of all the chaos. But I'm super excited for you guys to hear from Michelle today. She is a fellow Cancer Ninja Warrior lady, and she will tell you all about it. And she's also a career coach, a creative career coach, and she will also tell you all about that. So without further ado, here is the rest of our conversation.
And I live right now in Brooklyn, New York with my husband Luke and our 2-year-old daughter Ramona. And I am a creative career coach. So I work with creative women to give them and help them with like dream career guidance along the way. So usually it's women who classify themselves as creative who either know they want to like start a business, but they don't know like how to do it or what that business is. And so I help them through that transition. And I've been doing that since 2008, but full time since 2010. And I love it. And really, my cancer story starts in October of 2011 when I found a fairly nice size lump in my breast while I was at the Grand Canyon with my husband after his sister got married. And I was in there was a shooting. I wasn't doing an exam or anything. There was a pain leading to a lump in my breast. Very strange. And at the time, really, my husband and I were going through fertility treatments because we were trying to get pregnant and it wasn't. And when we got back from our trip, I had an appointment with my fertility doctor, like, that week. And I said to her, "Can you fill this for me?" And she said yes. And, she said, "Oh, that's pretty big. And how do you find it?" And I told her, and she said, "Well, shooting pain is normally not cancer, and the fact that this got so big so quickly normally means it's not cancer, but I'm going to send you for an ultrasound." And I went for an ultrasound. Turned out, so if anyone tells you that something that you're experiencing in your body, because I heard it from her, I heard it from my OBGYN, who I happened to have an appointment with the following week, I heard it from the breast surgeon too, until she felt it and said, it's not. It was. So I was diagnosed the day after Thanksgiving in 2011. It was stage 1. It was, going through it, I never felt like my life was in danger. I was super grateful that obviously it was caught early. And through 2 lumpectomies, a bilateral mastectomy, which I like to call my boob removal, and I, different surgeries to have, reconstruction and get my implants. I went through 4 rounds of chemo. I didn't have to do radiation at that point. And then once that was done, everyone's just like, "Great, go live your life. Everything's wonderful." And at my recurrence in September of this, so I felt this like weird lump in my chest wall. And it just so happened that the following week I was going to my checkup appointment with my oncologist, and I really was like, I was concerned, but I really kind of wasn't, because it just was strange. And my oncologist, felt the lump and felt my lymph nodes, and she said, "I'm really convinced this is a fat deposit. I don't feel any lymph nodes that would be involved. There's nothing that's swollen, and this is really strange." And it was something that I just felt like the week before, and she sent me, thank God, for imaging. And I knew, you just know, Katie, when things are bad, like, and it was one of those things where it wasn't just a simple ultrasound or mammogram. It was like all of a sudden, right away, I was seeing, the person that was on duty to talk about doing a biopsy, and when am I coming back for a biopsy, and I need to come back very immediately. And my oncologist was still convinced that it was a fat deposit until it wasn't. So all of a sudden, I had a stage 3 diagnosis, and it turned out the remaining lymph nodes in my left arm, which were involved the first time, but there wasn't any lymph node involvement the first time. They just removed, I think, like 4 to test. All of my remaining lymph nodes were involved on the left-hand side, but thankfully nothing had spread yet. So I like to say I caught them right before they went on a trip, because the fact that all these lymph nodes were involved but it wasn't anywhere else was just pretty extraordinary. So again, listen to your body. And thank my doctor, my oncologist laughs and she says that her mother jokes around that like she'll send a patient who has a hangnail for imaging, and she's very, very, very cautious and conservative, and that's what I love most about her. But so that there would be doctors out there that would say, no, I didn't feel anything, and this is going to be nothing, and so don't do anything. And so I think you have to really advocate. So this time around, since the end of September, I had 12 rounds of chemo, and I had 3 weeks of like more radiation, and I had surgery. I just got my ovaries and fallopian tubes out 2 weeks ago to really stop my estrogen levels and make sure it won't go there. And as of right now, at the end of May, I'm like looking at treatments, official treatments being over, and they're saying that everything is done and gone, and you know, be back to my oncologist every month, and hopefully, knock on wood, we'll be okay forever and ever. But
yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of similarities. I also had like a lot of pain, and they were like, oh, if it's painful, then it's fine. And like,
exactly, it's unbelievable, and especially when you're as young as we are.
Yeah.
And you get the fight back with like, you know, your insurance companies, and you don't need a mammogram, and you don't need this, and it's too early, and blah, 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 and you're so young. And, you know, the joke in my family is that the doctor, they go, oh, you're so thin, and you're so healthy. And I have to add, besides the cancer. And then they besides the cancer.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Super healthy, except for the life-threatening.
Exactly. That's living in your body that doesn't want to go away.
Right.
But other than that, like, you know, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, totally. So I love that you're a creative career counselor, you know, guru. I think that's so awesome. So tell me about how cancer has changed the way that you think about your career. You think about your career. You think about the advice that you give to other people in their careers.
Yeah. You know, I feel so lucky that I went through everything when I did, because I, you know, from 2007 until 2010, I was working as an executive assistant in finance, and I was getting my certification and building my business on the side. And so would that like to be in a 40 to 50 hour a week job that you could care less about, that is not fulfilling, that's blah, blah, blah. And when everything hit at the end of 2011, thankfully, number one, my husband, who's now a freelancer, was at his regular job in advertising. And thank God, so phenomenal that when we would call the insurance company and they would look up our account, they would remark, you have really good insurance. Like, that's how good the insurance was. So we were really lucky that it kind of hit when it did. And I said, I don't know how this, and have to then fight with their company. Or, you know, I hear horror stories all the time of, you know, I went to chemo too much and I got fired.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, these huge discriminatory suits that then, like, as you're going through cancer, the last thing you want to do is sue your employer because they discriminated against you and you don't have a job anymore. Or, you know, you have to go to chemo and, like, you know, you're going to chemo at 10 a.m. and at 2 p.m. you have to be back at work because you can only take a half day because that's the only time you have, you know. So the fact that I was so thankful, number one, that I got to, and this sounds so dumb, but this is the only way I could kind of say it, is that, like, I got to do the treatment on my schedule, and I got to be able to say, you know, when I had my removal, I took everything off my calendar for a month and just went, I'm not working this month. I'm not talking to anyone this month. And when I had chemo, you know, the first time and this time, I would clear my schedule for a week after chemo and just be like, I could write my blog posts and do things that I want to do on my own time, but I'm not having any calls and I'm not dealing with, my client work that is beyond like emails or whatever. And if I just sit and binge watch Jane the Virgin all day long, like I'm going to do that if that's what I do for myself. So in that way, I was really thankful to have a structure like that. And then in the other piece, it just amplified why I started this business in the first place, which is really about helping creative women, I like to say like make a grown-up living doing what they love, because normally the women that I work with want to do something entrepreneurial, which feels just scary and crazy and dumb and stupid, but usually something like artistic as well, or something that really relates to their own challenges or missions or priorities in life, their lifestyle goals. And so it's one of those things where it was important back in 2007 when I decided, let's be the When I Grow Up coach of all stupid things to be, and let's quit my stable job in the middle of a recession to do this work. It was so important to me that people not wait for retirement to then, because I think that's what we're told a lot. It's just, well, you work, and work is something that isn't fun, and that's why it's called work, but you have to do it till you're 65, and then once you're 65, you get to leave that job and then go have fun with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so obviously having cancer, no matter what stage it is and how you're doing, it's just that wake-up call, obviously, of like, there are no guarantees in life as to how long our time is here, and not that you have to put pressure on yourself to make every day count, but you need to make every day count. And I always see that the simplification of the work that I do, having my clients wake up in the morning and think about the day that they have ahead and say, I'm looking forward to at least 70% of this day. And it doesn't have to be only work-related stuff. It'd be like, I get to wake up, I get to take my kids off the bus and spend the afternoon with them. I get to go to that yoga class during lunch that I love. I get to take my laptop to the coffee shop because it's 80 degrees outside in May, and I don't have to sit at a cubicle, all day long. Like, you get to make those decisions for yourself and live the life that you want to live. And that's really amplified and something that I'm so grateful for in my business, and I want to give to everyone else, so that no matter what they're at or how healthy they are, they have that for themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I really love that. And yeah, you definitely get that sort of sense of urgency of like your priorities, when you get something like cancer, like your priorities just become
big time
clear.
Big time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So if you had just one piece of advice for that young adult whose life has been totally interrupted by cancer, and whose career has been totally interrupted by cancer, kind of looking to build that life back again, what would your piece of advice be?
It's funny because the way I got through my diagnosis, especially the first time around, was that I wrote dumb, funny ukulele songs about my stupid cancer. And it was so interesting because I had only picked up the ukulele like a few months before my diagnosis, so I didn't really know the instrument very well. But there was something that summer, the summer of 20, like, go buy a ukulele. Like, you want to learn how to play the ukulele. And I'm a performer. I have my my BFA in drama from NYU. I have a musical theater background, but I've never been a songwriter in any way.
Yeah.
So it was really strange because when I got my diagnosis, and I knew, because of the business that I was in, I knew I needed to kind of go public with it.
Yeah.
And because it was stage 1, and because it didn't feel like this life-threatening thing, and because I'm a weirdo, I said, I'm going to break this news to everyone with a ukulele song that I wrote called I Have Boob Cancer. And it went as viral as something that I could do. Like, when it got picked up by like news stations and it was really kind of crazy. But as things progressed and went on, I wrote songs to break the news about certain things that were happening. So, you know, I wrote a song called I'm Getting New Boobs when I was told that I had to have the mastectomy, where at first I thought I wasn't going to need it.
Right.
And so, you know, I wrote, and then I wound up about a year or so later, I do the Avon 2-day walk for breast cancer every year, and this will be the 5th year walking. But as a fundraiser, I put all my boobs together in a show called Boob Cancer and Show Tunes, where I sang some show tunes and I did songs, and they're funny. So like, it's very strange, but they're funny. I wrote a song called Everyone's Your Friend When You Have Cancer, which I'm sure feel weird, like, especially on Facebook, and you hear from people that you're like, I haven't talked to you since 3rd grade. You're Facebook messaging me every day. Like, I don't want to, you're very nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for thinking of me, but don't bother me. I don't want to talk to you. So for me, it was like such therapy.
Yeah.
And it felt so dumb, but freeing and like true to myself, and a way for me to really deal with what I was going through in a way that like felt like me. So
Yeah.
I would say, tying this back into your question, eventually, you have to adjust to your new normal, obviously, and you have to heal and rest and recover and take care of yourself in a way I think that is really foreign to anyone in 2016, when we're so multitasking machines of like being busy every moment of every day.
Yeah.
It's about kind of retraining yourself to step back and take things slower and say no to a lot more things sometimes, but it's also about like getting back to the things that just you enjoy,
Yeah.
that are for no other purpose than you enjoy them. And whether that's, you know, picking up an instrument that maybe you want to learn to play, or like you remember that as a kid you love to color and you're buying one of those cool adult coloring books. I actually had one of my friends send me someone at coloring page that you could purchase and download that says "fuck cancer." So you know, you could buy that. So I think that that's so important, and just getting us back to ourselves and tying it into like waking up in the morning and hopefully getting past like yesterday I spent all day at follow-up doctor appointments. Like, I left my house at 11 o'clock in the morning. I came home at 5:30 at night, and you know, the whole day just felt, and I normally would get angry, like the whole day is lost, and and I have to sit in the hospital all day long, and I have to sit in waiting rooms and blah blah blah. And instead it was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring my journal, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna sketch things out. So it's like trying to do what you can to tap into what you enjoy doing and allowing yourself to do that.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. For me, that's been writing, so I can totally
Not
as fun and exciting as the ukulele, but
it's neat to be too. And it's funny because once the recurrence happened, like, I was waiting to get back to my ukulele songs and write more ukulele songs, and it was hard. It was hard. I didn't do it because this definitely felt much scarier. This diagnosis and the whirlwind that it was, and how unexpected it was, and how much more serious it was, and it was a different way for me to respond to that, and I responded to it really by starting like this art journaling, where I'm writing more journal entries as opposed to, you know, blogging for my business, and I'm learning like hand lettering and sketchnoting. So that's how I'm getting through more of this diagnosis than my ukulele song. So, you know, it kind of shows up as something different for everyone, and could show up something different for the same person as they continue to go through it.
Totally. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing today. And before I let you go, I have to know, so first, where can we find your business, and where can we find these boob ukulele songs?
Yes, totally. My business is at whenigrowupcoach.com.
Awesome.
And there you could find me, you know, on Twitter and my Facebook page and blah, blah, blah. I don't think I have a link to my YouTube channel up anymore from my business, because I kind of just like haven't been posting very often. But if you find me on YouTube, then you'll be able to see. Or if you just Google, I have boob cancer and Michelle Ward, you'll find it.
Okay.
and that'll lead you to my YouTube account has like all the songs that I wrote about my boot camp.
I'm gonna go listen to them more right now.
Go listen to them, and hopefully they'll make you laugh.
I'm sure. It sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. It's been lovely.
Yes. Yay! Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So, bye.